Hi everyone, it's Teacher Lina. Today's topic is something I learned from YGP. So, our studio recently, it's my first YGP, joined YGP, and if you are a teacher, maybe looking into getting your kids out there and then learning from these things. I'm not a big competition person because I came from dancing. So maybe we can talk about the differences of that and also what I learned from it and what I also expected. So first off, I watched a lot of YouTube videos going into this, of course, because there it is, Google's your references. And I read a few forums as well. And a lot of people talked about the politics of YGP or YAGP and all of these things and competitions. And I already know this. All ballet competitions have politics. So first off, always expect there is going to be some kind of politics in any ballet competition and not just YGP or pre or everything. Everything always does have. Every ballet competition does have. But I think if you're just going out there to get yourself seen, and of course try, it's a great opportunity for anyone, and it's very interesting. A lot of things you learn, and a lot of lessons learned, you can say. But a good tip for YGP, which is I'm not sure if anyone else gave this. I love Catherine Morgan's tips. I watched them twice. Today, just before this, I watched it again, if in case you want to check it out, because she's one of the judges, if I'm not mistaken, of or she's judged in YGP competitions, and so her giving tips was really interesting to me. But after getting commentary from the judges, I realized there are two ways a judge would judge, either as a teacher or as a dancer. And how they score is very simple. So here's the down low and everything. They'll just score on technique and artistry. That's it, 1 to 100. And so if they like your artistry more than your technique, then they'll score you higher on that. And then if they like your technique more than your artistry, obviously they're going to score you higher, or one or the other. Or I've noticed some coaches or some teachers will score you the same, just based off what we got scored on. Because some teachers were like this, some teachers were like this. So this is what I've noticed. If the teacher is a teacher, then they'll notice every single detail, just as I do. So, but I am a teacher mixed in a more dancer person. So when the teacher is really like, you know how teachers get really into details? Those are the teachers that are, like they will score very low. You'll really see low scores because they want to see like the in-between things. So if you are a dancer or a non-dancer, try to watch the in-between details. So my tip would be slow down these ballet competitions and really get into the micro details, see how the footwork goes, see how everything goes, and try to just break it down. And try to really like look at even the fingers and the head, because they will notice these things. Like they actually wrote it down in comments, lovely use of epaulement, lovely use of this. A vast majority of turnout always seems to be lacking for every competitor. I will not lie, including my own students, but it's different when you see it on stage. It's very interesting. And I learned a whole lot about that. So maybe if you were trying to get into competitions, try to watch those little details. Although I don't think it matters. No, it does matter. Scrap that. It does matter later on, because we do need a huge majority of our turnout. That's where we move from. And form is always sacrificed for height. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of teachers are going to complain about this. But I feel like sometimes in certain things, we can, when it comes into a movement already, form is important, but then I mean, it's just a balance of form and a balance of form and the height. You know, like not too high that you get like this, but not too low either that it's just like this. You know, it has to be exciting in between too. So that's tip number 2 probably. So try to look at those mini details, watch it in slow motion and those things. Then I think I mentioned the teachers. So the teachers usually score like this. But you'll see the artists, the people who are more dancers, will score differently. So they love to see the character. So they don't seem to mind at all that there's a few blunders here and there. Maybe there's a few mistakes on how you step or whatnot. But as long as the character is there and you're able to show like the movement very well, it seems different how they score. So I found that really interesting because dancers the dancers were different from the scoring of those who were directors in schools, because that's how I noticed the judges were balanced out. Some were dancers and some were more directors, and some were both dancers and directors, and yeah, everything in between that. So very interesting, something to take note of. If you want to do your own kind of scoring, just divide it between technique and artistry. That's all. And as a teacher, just put points and numbers and just try to score your students, and then you're kind of gonna get a balance of that. So yeah, so if they scored between the 90s, for example, some of my students who did like 90 and then 93, and then you just get the average. And maybe you can do that in your studios. You can try it out. You can like just do a test run, score them low so that they can, I don't know, like get encouraged and stuff. But hold on, my video is supposed to be about how to watch competitions. So yeah, but that would also help you, like how to watch. You could also do your own kind of scoring maybe for these competitions and see. And you'll see a trend. You know, I've tried also watching some competitions. Some I don't like, some I like. And it really is subjective because I mean, you'll like some people, you won't like some people. You'll never know why some people scored better than the others. Sometimes it might have even been a point something difference. I'm not gonna lie, because I compared like my students who were competing in the same category. Technically, one was higher by 0.1, and I'm pretty sure that it was because of her artistry was so much better than the other dancer. At the end of the day, don't feel bad about the scores. And if you're a person watching, take these things into account, that these people aren't better than the other person just because they scored higher or they did better. Or don't feel so bad that your favorite didn't win, because sometimes they're just these little details. Like, I'm pretty sure like some judges just go, okay, this is the scoring base. And then towards the end, it's like you get more tired and you don't know what to score anymore, you know? And I feel like the people at the end are a little less lucky. I think towards the middle, you'll get a bit nicer. That's just based on it, maybe in my head or whatnot. Or maybe if you're used to it, it doesn't really matter anymore. But it's not like skating competitions where each like turn is equal to some kind of point. You know, ballet competitions are totally different things. So it's really subjective. Yeah, unless you have a point system in mind. So there. So what else could I get tips on? Take notes. You know, it's good to have a notebook. I took huge amount of notes for this competition. Even my students wrote notes. They had their own comments. I loved it because we all learned from it. Mind the details and really write things down. So we wrote a lot of things like a lot of flex feet and relaxed foot in between movements. I've noticed this as well. I mean, including with our students, you don't see them in the studio, but you really have to point them extra. Watch the in-between movements, and also watch your épaulement. It shows in the studio, but it also doesn't show on stage, things like that. Musicality is also sacrificed to accommodate a lot of things. Like, for example, someone wants to do like 10 turns, but it's already the end of the music. And although it sounds exciting, it's kind of funny because you're not there to turn 100 times and then finish off the beat. So it's kind of those little details I found funny as well. And the quality should be over the quantity, you know, that's what I think also. It's better to do a double. Actually, one of my students wrote this. Ning wrote this. If Ning is watching this, she said, it's better to do a clean double than a psycho triple. Which is true. You do like, so yeah. You know, if you're a non-dancer, you might think that many turns equals beautiful, but it's not actually. So, you know, a clean, nice finish is a lot nicer than a, oh my God, I'm gonna turn many, and it's like boom, in the end, and you're off the time. So a lot of, yeah, and then a lot of competitors do this. Yeah, and a lot of competitors lacked more use of the head, and you know, it was a real eye opener for us, and I'm very huge on these little details. But yeah, at the end of the day, again, as someone who watches this, and for someone who wants to get into watching competitions or ballet competitions, at the end of the day, the score doesn't really make you better than the other person. This is just a personal opinion as a teacher. And ballet is still an art after all. You know, it's not like skating, because something I learned from skating is just that, wow, I didn't know everything just had a point and, you know, had a level even. And it's not like that in ballet, because we have fixed choreography and we're trying to portray characters. So at the end of the day, some people like this more than that, you know, even if it's the same choreography, someone may have interpreted it better than the other person, and that's what makes you stand out as a dancer, you know, your character, how she dances on stage, her presence on stage, her presence in the studio. So work on that presence while you work on your technique, and that's my best tip for you dancers. And if you're a watcher, cut us some slack, but also try to look at these little details. It's good to be critical of them, but not too also. We're here to enjoy dancing, and we're here to enjoy the art. It's always a balance of both. Just remember those things. And I think it's always a balance of both, of course, the technique and artistry. That's why they score both equally, and they just get the 50% of that. And at the end of the day, I just want you all to enjoy. Enjoy everything. But be critical, but enjoy. What kind of stupid tip is that? I'm just kidding. Yeah, we still need to retain some standard. But at the same time, don't be mean either. There's always points to improve on. So yeah, as a watcher, I hope that we all can just be nice. But at the same time, let's also be nice in the right direction. There's the best tip. So I hope that this helps you watch competitions, or gives you an idea of how to watch ballet competitions, or maybe how to criticize them. Ugh, I don't know if you should, but there are a lot of videos online about ballet competitions and tips on how to do better in them. I really would say enjoy them. And if you're a dancer who's looking into just learning a little more about how it's like and or how it's judged, I hope that this video helped you. And again, this is Teacher Lina, Studio Dance by Lina. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks everyone.